Welcome to the Weaponized Marriage Podcast. Third time is a charm because we have recorded this episode. This is our third time. So the first time we recorded this episode, we ended up getting in an argument at the end of it.
And why is that? Why did we get in an argument?
No, we're not even going to go back there. That's over. Okay. The second time we recorded it was right before Ryan's surgery, which was yesterday. And so now you're getting a post-surgical
and there was no audio.
And there was no audio. Yeah. So today you are getting a fully edited down version, fully rehearsed episode. So we shall see how we do.
All right,
since we've had three rounds of practice.
Here we go then.
All right, so we're kicking this off, calling this from mile high to ruck low, or I think we should change it to ruck instead, because we just got back from Vegas last week, and we went to Vegas to Alex and Leila Hormozi's acquisitions.com workshop, and it was their scaling workshop. If you guys listen to us, I'm sure you probably are familiar with both of them. They're pretty big powerhouses. I'll sum it up for those of you that don't know it. They're based out of Vegas now, that have built and sold multiple companies for multi-figure exits. And that's what they do now, is they're an equity company that buys out, improves upon, and sells and invests in businesses. And now it's called acquisitions.com. So we went to a 2-day event in Vegas, which was the first time we've gone to a business event together in a really long time, for sure. I have to say, personally, I think it was one of the best business events we have gone to, not just recently, probably ever, because I really loved the structure they had. And
tactical. It was all tactical. It wasn't rah-rah.
It wasn't rah-rah. It was all tactical. Our intention in going was, obviously, it's a scaling workshop. So we're looking at, we've been in a place where we have multiple businesses together, and I've really been out of the business operations since I've had my daughter Lily, so 5 years on the day-to-day side. But on the day-to-day side, I am the CFO of both companies, so I'm really behind the scenes. So this is our foray into working a little bit differently together, because we've been stuck at the same revenue for our companies for a couple of years now. So our goal was to go and figure out how to get unstuck.
Well, not just that, just stuck with production, but also I'm working the same amount of hours.
Yes. So it was not so much about revenue for us as much as it was time, freeing us up for time, especially for you in the actual practice. And one of the things that the biggest takeaways, just to kind of sum it up, was for us was something that stood out, was the importance of they structured the workshop in how would your business be valued if you were going to sell it. Now, while that's not our intention, begin with the end in mind was kind of how they pre-framed it. And so they looked at the key risks that you would look at, if a person was going to invest in your company and give you, like a company like acquisitions.com, or a venture capital firm, or an investor, right? What would the things that they would be looking for? And one of the things that really stood out, which we already knew going into it, which is why we went there, was that we had what we call key man risk, meaning a lot of our physical practice, even though we have a awesome team, does depend on Ryan's production and time. And I was saying that I really wanted to make some shifts there, because I wanted, selfishly, more time with him and more time with our family, and not just working when he's out of the business, out of the practice. He is still working on our other business and on the actual practice. So I was like, something's got to give on that aspect, because we've had our practice for 15 years, and Ryan has literally worked the same schedule for 15 years, minus a couple shifts. And said we have an awesome team in place, and you're going to hear more of why that really came into play. But we left there with a very solid plan. Some of the changes we would need to make to be much more strategic in how we scale, which are now going to get accelerated as we tell you.
So we came at a high.
At a high, very, very high.
High business-wise with a plan of what we're going to do, but also high
as a couple,
right?
Which is why we're going to talk about this today.
Yeah.
Because I'll lead off and then I'm going to let you share your favorite part of the story
let me share. Okay,
yeah.
Thank you.
I'll have you share. Sorry. And one of the huge things that stood out for me, go to Vegas a lot, especially when I lived in California on the West Coast. I was, in my early 20s then. It was all about the party and, that kind of Vegas scene. And then now fast forward to 44 years old, married. And one of the things that Ryan had done for January this year is he had given up alcohol, knowing he had a tough ruck coming up, which is a marathon with a rucksack, which he's going to talk about. And then also, again, so I was like, you know what? I really loosened up on alcohol over this summer with the boat and the cabin. And yeah, I was really embracing the boat bevvies. And
we found those
sun cruisers. Sun cruisers were a little bit of not a problem, but they were becoming
they were pretty tasty.
They went down easy. And so I said, you know what? I'm going to join you with this no drinking thing. And then we were on the plane going to Vegas, and I was like, wow, this will be very interesting, because Ryan had said to me, he's like, hey, if you want to have drink, go for it, but I'm going to stick to the no drinking. And I was like, oh man, I was like, I don't know if I could do especially it's our first time away as a couple in a while. And I do have a couple very close friends who are on this, giving up alcohol thing for a variety of reasons. And I was like, you know what, let's see. I just left it with, I'll see it, how it goes. And one of the things that stands out from our trip, among other things, which I'm going to let you get to.
You're going to let me do it. Okay.
I'm going to let you do that. Okay. Is, I don't want to take that thunder away. Is, man, we had such an amazing weekend, including we went out with a friend of ours who they were, having drinks, and I did not have a drop of alcohol in Vegas, of all places. We did not want to spend $1 on gambling. Other places, first of all, we were amazed at how much we saved by not even having drinks, with the exception of one very nice dinner where the mocktail was $18, which is so silly. But we spent it in other places, and we had probably one of the best couples weekends beyond the business seminar together. And I felt like we had a lot of really quality time as a couple having fun. We had a quality time making and seeing friends. And then we also had quality time just working on the business together. So we were, like I said, at the highest of highs coming back from this trip. And I'll transition. I'll have you share the highest of highs for you.
Okay. So I had asked, I think probably about a month before what she wanted to do for fun while we were in Vegas. She's like, I don't know. Let me think about it. I'm like, oh, yeah, you think
my mind went right to shows.
Yeah. So Kendra wanted to go to shows. I was like, okay. And around Christmas time, because obviously the trip was in February, around Christmas time, we were watching this comedian on a Christmas special, Matt Rife, I think his name is. He's working the crowd and asking, what's the greatest gift that you've ever given someone? And this guy raised his hand. He's like, I gave my mother and father-in-law a love cloud. And he's like, what is that? He's like, well, they went in Vegas. They joined the Mile High Club and had sex in the back of a airplane. And he's like, oh my God. And then he's like, yeah, they're right here. And they panned next to them, and the mother and father-in-law were there. And immediately you're like, oh man, I would not want to see them have sex in the back of the plane. But it was just hilarious. I was like, oh my God, that kind of thing exists. So of course I have to look it up while I'm looking up things to do in Vegas anyway. So I looked up a few things and maybe threw out some suggestions to Kendra, and she's like, okay, well, just let me think about it and I'll get back to you. Because we wanted to find a couple of fun things to do, because we were mostly there with the seminar. So obviously we're going to go out partying and drinking. We're going to be very present and maximize our time seminar. But we got there Wednesday, and we had a couple of nights. One night was reserved to hang out with our friends, and we had 2 open nights. So Kendra comes back to me and was like, okay,
hold on. Can I interrupt 1 minute here? Yeah. Because when you said, look up a few things to do in Vegas, I knew what you were suggesting, and it wasn't a show I went to in my mind. So I was like, okay, can I have fun with this? An
experience, yeah.
Yeah, you wanted to have an experience, and you did suggest the Love Cloud, and I thought about that comedy special.
Threw it out there as
specifically because it was the couple that was there. It was very very comical, right?
So Kendrick goes, okay, go.
Wait, hold on. Let me tell the part between, because I think that people will enjoy this. So in my quest to be a little bit more fun and adventurous, I did end up, originally I called it a chat room in our last recording, but I ended up like on a Reddit thread. And it was like a guy who had asked this question, and he had said like, listen, what are some like experiences that are only available in Vegas? And immediately everybody responding was sharing like sex clubs, like swingers clubs. And I was like, okay. I was like, I don't know if I'm there yet. And I was reading like some of the descriptions, but then every other kind of recommendation was, there were a couple shows in there, but then people were saying like Love Cloud was a really cool experience. So thank God for this Reddit thread, because it gave me the confidence, because I did go to the website for Love Cloud and it was very professional but vague.
Yeah, vague.
Right. And so I was like,
so hence you did your research.
I did my research.
Yeah. So Kendra gave me the okay to sign up for it. So I signed up for it like within 10 minutes of her telling me.
Can I imitate your face when I told you?
Just let me finish my part of the story. You're going to let me tell it. Just tell it. So I signed up for it, and not cheap. First of all, so I was like, oh man, drink and do a bunch of crazy stuff. So that's basically, we booked it for the first night we were there. So immediately we had something fun to look forward to, because we saved money on the accommodation. First of all, we saved hotel, which is one of the hotels closest to the venue that we had the seminar at. And it was like not an awful hotel, but we definitely did not spend our money on accommodation or booze or gambling. Let's put it that way.
When I checked in, I didn't even look at the rate. I just booked it because they said it was the closest one.
Yeah, but it was fine.
And it was legit. They had redone on the older side, right? We stayed in Vegas for 3 freaking nights. Was that Wednesday, Thursday, Friday? Yeah, 3 nights for under $400.
No, which is crazy. Yeah. So we totally saved on accommodation, and the rooms weren't bad at all. So.
No.
So anyway, Wednesday we get ready, and neither of us know what to expect. I was like, well, taxi cab. So I called like one of the.
Oh yeah, we made a friend there.
Yeah, we made a friend. Yeah, an Uber, like a really nice Uber XL or whatever. And
Lamont.
It was this really awesome guy, Lamont. He had this like souped up like Transformer Tesla vehicle, and he's like, yeah, I'll wait for you guys, no problem. I'll come back pick you up in an hour. I was like, great. So we pull up to it's a small, like the North Vegas airport. So it's a smaller airport, and we get picked up by a limo right away. I was like, okay, awesome. So we jump in the limo. It's like a 2-minute drive over to the airplane, and we get to the airplane, and the pilot's right there to shake our hand. And Marty, yeah. Now we left out all of the whole humdrum of like the weather was actually not that great while we were there. In Vegas, actually had a little cold front come through. There was snow on the mountaintops, and it was a little windy that day.
And we had just landed on the commercial plane, and the commercial plane,
it wasn't that
for commercial plane. I was like, holy shit, if you can feel this in a commercial plane, you're going to be able to feel it in a small plane.
So I could feel Kendra's energy right away. It was like, oh my God. And then the pilot goes, hey, are you guys like, have you been in a small airplane before? Like, do you guys get airsick or whatever? And I'm like, oh my God. And Kendra's like, actually, I was a pilot, and told him where she went to school. And yeah, I've been in a ton of small aircraft, so I think we'll be good.
Yeah.
And anyway, so he gave us the whole run through, right? So they have to give you all the safety features and whatnot. He's like, okay, so we got this back drape here. So that's, fully covered. So I won't see you guys. If you have problems, just reach through, tap me on the shoulder. And he's like, I got noise canceling headphones. We're like, okay, cool. So in the plane is like 2 seats that face the like rear facing right against where the is, and the whole back part of the Cessna is open, right? So it's like, got like a nice sexy vibe, and there's music and everything like that I could hook up to my iPhone. So he's like, okay, the way we're at cruising altitude and you guys are good to get out of your seatbelts is I'll turn the lights off. And he's like, when it's time to get back in your seats, I'll turn the lights on. I'm like, okay, clear. So needless to say, we had a blast. It was definitely a great experience. And the small turbulence we had actually added to the experience.
Which was,
it was one of the most fun sex experiences we ever had. So highly recommended. It does cost some money to do it. So,
but we got certificates at the end.
Yep. So we have our official like Mile High Club certificate. I can't believe we're telling the world this, but yeah. So it's one of our top accomplishments.
I think I want this now that, like I said, we've told this story not only to our podcast listeners, but
there's not many people we told about this, but now
there's only one person, which was our friends, which they live in Vegas, and they were booking it the next day.
And they want to do it now. Yes.
Yeah. They had some envy and jealousy that we had beat them to it. So that was that was really fun.
So anyway,
but hold on, I have one thing to say on the Mile High Club. So one of the coolest things was Ryan and I have been really playing.
I'm excited just thinking about it.
All right. Ryan and I have been really playing with like doing inner child work, right? Like, and
that sounds really weird.
No, because this is really important. And when I told Ryan that I was willing to do this, and then the whole plane ride, if I could tell you, you kind of have it now too, of like this perma smile that was on his face, like I had just given him the best gift he's ever gotten.
You did. And I paid for it.
And of course you did. I wasn't paying for it.
Well, I'm just saying, like, I was happy to pay for it.
So what you're saying is you paid for sex, but all men do.
With my wife, legally.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's very popular in Vegas too. So.
Is it?
Yes. So one of the things that I think was really cool is that it was really awesome to see like this level of joy and excitement on your face, like perma-fried on it,
perma-fried.
Yeah, like the whole time.
Yeah, no drugs necessary.
And absolutely zero drugs necessary. And it was just really it was really cool to see. And it gave me joy to see you have such excitement and joy.
Well, I'm glad to have gave you
so that was the high. We've got the high covered. Yeah. Now we're going to get transition.
Yeah, so got back on Saturday just in time for 1.5 feet of snow, which that wasn't the problem.
Yeah,
we've had tons of snow this year. But if you live in the Northeast, you know how bad the weather's been. It's been cold. It's been snowy. It's been just a real winter. And of course, as Kendra mentioned, I'm training once again for my 4th year in the row to do a ruck marathon to raise money for the Tough Ruck Foundation. And
which is a really amazing event.
And like training's been really difficult because of the outside conditions. And I love doing it outside. I could not bring myself to do this on a treadmill. So plus Huckleberry really enjoys doing this training with me.
Who's our dog?
Yeah. He loves to do the kind of ruck pace, right? Like 10-minute mile, 11-minute mile type of thing. He's 11 years old. So I usually bring him anywhere between 1 to 3 miles. And Wednesday morning, we're doing our ruck at like 8 a.m, so it's still frozen. And
just after school drop off.
Yeah. So I cross the street with my ruck. I'm almost home and my left foot flies out from under me and my right foot stays trapped behind my body. I fall 40-pound ruck and my whole body weight onto my leg and ankle. And my ankle snaps in half. And I immediately knew that it was bad. I didn't know if I like broke my ankle or if it was dislocated or whatnot. But when I looked, my right foot was totally facing sideways and a little bit the wrong way. So I knew that I wasn't going to be walking the rest of the way home. So I screamed out "fuck" a couple of times pretty loud, not because of pain, but just because of like how disappointed I was in myself and what's going to happen in the upcoming months of what I'm not going to be able to do. And just long story short, really helpful people came to my rescue. The ambulance and the fire truck showed up, which I, declined going with the ambulance. Stood up on which nobody was in favor of, but I'm glad I did because my ankle sucked right back into the socket. So that gave me the confidence to know that like my leg bone wasn't sticking through my skin and I wasn't like, in a state of shock that I need to go with an ambulance right away. So
no blood.
Yeah, no blood. So we got a hold of Kendra. She picked me up. We went to drop off Huckleberry and Kendra was nice enough to make me while I waited in the car to go to emergency services.
Wait, stop there for a minute and tell a little bit of the this behind that because I think that's important.
Right. So I think what we discovered after telling this story a couple of times is that what really served us in the moment, like it's unlocked a couple of things, right? So the story that we just told you about our highs together, that we're able to like laugh and play together and do fun things together and have like really connected, intimate, emotional and physical intimacy. And like all of this is because of the work we've been doing. But what we've figured out is that when crisis hits, and the crisis showed up in the form of a dislocated and fractured leg, is that in that moment I've been through a lot of hard shit and I've been through a lot of injuries. So I was able to compose myself and make rational decisions. Whereas I've seen people completely lose their mind and just, be at mercy of somebody take care of me and Kendra as well. Like I called her and told her, I was like, hey, I broke my ankle. I need you to come get me. And she's like, oh my God, what? She's like, okay, I'll be right there. Where are you? She pulled up and she didn't scream at me to go with the ambulance. Like she trusted me enough to know that like I was making the right decision by going with her and loading up my dog. And then we sat there together and discussed like, what are our next moves without emotion going sideways, without us losing our cool. Like, what are the next best steps that are going to allow us to make the right moves? Right. So, Kendra called her brother and his advice was like,
who's a fireman.
Yeah, probably, the best place for you guys to go is this local emergency services place that has triage. Don't go to the because there'll be wait time. And then once you're in that funnel, like you're at mercy to whatever they decide to do with you. And so we did take that advice and I was like, okay, well, I completely dislocated my ankle. It's probably broken, but we have a little bit of time and I'd rather go about this process of whatever's going to happen with a full stomach of food because I haven't eaten yet. So Kendra was
I knew that was a good idea.
Yeah. Kendra was nice enough to like just prep a breakfast real quick. We brought it with us. I had a backpack of, supplies with me and extra clothes. Then we went to this emergency services.
Important stuff.
Okay, so I need to work
while you're waiting.
Yes.
And you also I asked you, if I go into this urgent care, give me the 3 top questions I need to ask them so I could see if we could make this work. And I went in there. So we were able to because we were both coming from such a place of centered calm, which I actually was very shocked at how calm I was, because the moral of this that we started to see was that if we were at our marriage, in our business, in our finances, in our parenting, this would have very easily been a straw that could have even broke us in that moment, where we would have made rash and reactive decisions instead of proactive ones. And so we go to this urgent care. I'll let you finish the story. I just think that's a really critical point we need to illustrate.
Yeah, I mean, I don't need to share all the detail, but I discovered that my leg was in fact broken, aside from being completely dislocated. So I had a comminuted fracture, which means it's shattered in a couple places in my fibula, and then my ankle was completely torn on the inside, the whole stability. So it was way off center, and it was like, you need surgery. There's no other way to fix this ankle. You need to get it surgically repaired. So immediately we started to figure out what our options were. Like, where do I get the surgery? Who do I want to do the surgery? And we landed on Kendra. Actually, I had a friend of hers whose brother was a well-known surgeon on the North Shore. And we found him. We were able to get a consultation with him the next day. Thankfully, the only challenge was he just had the surgery yesterday, but it went amazing. He was able to do the surgery without any plates or screws. He was able to use the latest techniques, right? So reattaching the ligament and it's like a lasso, essentially. It's, basically they drill through the bones and they pull them together. So there's ankle stability again. And the fracture will just heal on its own. And I'm in a cast and my foot's still total. But yeah, so now.
Can I tell part?
Well, I just want to say the place we're in now is that this changes a lot of things as of last Wednesday, but a lot of things about our day-to-day, right? Kendra's had to wait on me hand and foot essentially, which has been really
I haven't
humbling.
had to wipe his ass though. So that's since I do have to wipe their ass.
But I've had to lean on my family and I've had to lean on my employees a lot. Thank God we were at this workshop to learn how to scale our business further, but it just showed me that the work that I've done to get it to the place where it is, where I can be in a place where I'm out of the office, and it likely won't grow. It likely won't fall apart though. It will stay pretty steady. It will continue to make money. My patients will continue to get served. My team will continue to keep the wheels turning. Exactly. So we have that assurity. And, if we did have to take a hit, we have some of those financial resources that we can absorb it. I can put all of this tension and stress on my wife and my family, and, Kendra's absorbing it fantastically. Like, she's rearranged some of her day. Never mind, she's taking care of her mom. She's trying to get Lily to her little school and activities, trying to make sure I'm fed and watered. And thank God, I have business. I'm still busy. I'm doing consults today, the day after surgery. I did consults all the way up to the surgery. So I'm like producing, making money and helping people, even though I'm laid up. I would have never been able to do that 4 years ago, even. I would have been just like laying at home, like stressed out of my brain. So.
And I think a huge thing for me was that I like, just to bring it from my perspective too, I've been working on really sitting and getting still with myself. And someone who has ADHD and just like loves to move, like I process a lot through movement. It's very challenging for me to sit still. Part is when Ryan called me that morning about his leg, I had just sat down to eat breakfast and I said, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to finish a complete cup of coffee, because Lily hadn't had school because she had February vacation and then all the snow days. She had a total of 12 days off. And I think because I sat still in that moment was what gave me the wherewithal to be able to handle what was coming. And when I got in my car to go drive to Ryan, I said to myself, this is the first time that I just like right away, quiet, and I consulted with God. And I said, I know that this is going to show me something about myself. I'm not exactly sure why it's showing up this way, but I surrender to the plan that you have, knowing your plan is greater than mine. And I've been playing a lot with that word surrender, because I'm not sure I've quite understood what that, and I've been seeking to understand more of what that looks like in a applicable basis in my life. And I just felt very, very confident. And I heard God say to me so clearly, just keep saying what you've been saying. I've been listening to you. Keep obeying me. And what he said was, what is the verbiage you've been saying a lot to yourself? And I said to myself, I am fully provided for in every way. And my provider is you. And when I pulled up, I was just at this very settled place that there was some sort of divine providence in this. And I quickly started to realize that everything we were just in Vegas working on, he's accelerating. And he's accelerating in a way that I'd never anticipated, nor would typically seek. Like, I don't need to have you break your leg to see this. But he's like, if you can stay steadfast in your obedience, which is also another word I'm really focused on the last year, of that my plan is better than yours, I will show you what I mean. And hence, when I bring Ryan to the urgent care, he's in the x-ray and he comes back. They haven't even come back to report the x-ray yet. And he's like, it's friggin' shattered and I'm going to need surgery. And my brain went right to, you have so many resources, and don't take their first resource that they offer you. And I got on the phone with a couple key people. One of my girlfriends that was a trauma nurse, ironically, she called me and I was like, okay, here's the situation. What would you do here? She mentioned this person. And the crazy thing is that the same person she mentioned was the sister, my very dear friend's brother, who I had already texted and said, does he still do surgery? And how would I get in touch with him? And when I got off the phone with my girlfriend, the trauma nurse, who also recommended him, my dear friend Sue had sent me his wife's phone number, and they got us in there ASAP. And the crazy thing was, when we went to his office for this consult, he said, I typically don't see people today because I'm in the OR, but because of the snowstorm, that got canceled. And I was just getting all of these pings, like, see what I mean? I'm going to show you if you let me. If you ask me, I will show you. And so that was like a huge thing. And the combination, I think, of, like I said, me being able to be still and coming from a place of calm and not having, I want you to really tell the story that we told on the last time we recorded about the rocks in the backpack and Dr. Chestnut's work, because that's what I think is really critical, that you and I, now that we've talked about this 3 times on the podcast, would be really helpful for the couples listening. How do you regulate your nervous system and reduce the load?
The first thing is, like, we've talked about the work we've done in our marriage together. We've talked about the work that we've done in our business. We talked about the work that, you and I continually put into our bodies. Like, if I was going into this surgery any less fit and able, like, my recovery would be way slower and worse. Like, I don't need to take drugs. I don't need to do anything. Like, they hook me up to the machine. They're like, wow, your heart rate's really low. I'm like, yeah, well, I take care of myself. I'm an athlete.
Mm-hmm.
So, we put in the work, but where I just want to stress that where we put in, I think the most helpful work in our lives has been in letting go of control and trusting God,
mm-hmm.
and allowing that provision to come into our lives and just knowing that we're going to be okay. Whether it's like a catastrophic injury, whether it's like an employee issue, whether it's like a financial problem, whether it's a Lily problem, like he's got us. And knowing that just takes a whole level of stress off of your chest.
Huge rock.
And a huge rock out of your backpack. And just listening to the messages that he continues to give you. For me, like the message was wrist pain. For a long time, it's like, Ryan, you can't continue to adjust 200 people a week forever. You need to change the way you're doing things if you want to continue to grow as a leader, teacher, trainer, business owner, and have time and freedom to be with your family and to start doing the other things I'm calling you to do. That wasn't enough. I needed to completely dislocate and break my leg. So it's like, okay, now I hear you.
To stop you.
I know, I hear, I know. I hear the lesson loud and clear. So God, if you're listening, if you are going through life with your eyes and your ears open, there's always messages and there's always lessons for you to continue to learn and see. It's just whether or not you're ready to receive those. And in a lot of cases, it requires you to humble yourself. It requires you to check your ego. It requires you to look in the mirror. And isn't that the truth for all areas of your life, though? It's not just in your, in your health, but it's also in your business and in your marriage and in your own psychology, in your own emotional health. So what Kendra wanted me to explain is like how taking those stressors out of your physiology can improve your life. And the analogy that I use with patients is like, we're all just people walking around with backpacks on. You're picking up things and taking them out all the time. And the things you're putting in your backpack are the things you're choosing to take on, that you eat, that you move, that you think. It's like all the stuff you do. And in a lot of cases, we take on too much, right? We take on too much, usually with our jobs, with our like pressure, with our stressors. And then if we combine more stressors with like shitty food choices and we stop moving our body and whatever, we end up with this big backpack full of what's called allostatic load. It's just a huge stressor physically and on your nervous system. And there's no way you can operate in an optimal fashion with your nervous system, like firing all the time on high, right? You burn out and you end up with sickness. So, and you make poor decisions. And yeah, I mean, we've seen this with, everyone has felt this. So one of the ways that, not only taking care of yourself from a physical perspective by exercising and eating well and drinking enough water and sleeping properly, getting your blood work done, that alone can take a ton of stress load off of your life. But then looking at other ways that you could, such as trusting in God and letting go and knowing that it's not up to you. You don't have to white knuckle it, through life and always try to be in control. Okay. Unresolved conflict is probably the number one thing that couples suffer from. Conversations that you're not willing to have with one another. Okay. Mm-hmm. If you're not happy, right, then you're probably, suffering from some level of a stressor in your relationship. Like if you're not happy with your sex life, if you're not happy with your communication, you're not happy with your emotional connection, you're not happy with your parenting, you're not happy with your money. I mean, if any of those things aren't addressed, then you're spending your energy and your stress on those things. So that's all to say that like the reason we're able to make great decisions, have time to be present with one another and have great connection and be proactive and focused in life is because we've done a really good, like taking is shedding, just removing things that do not serve us and adding things that do.
Yeah. And it's that simple. I mean, I think it sounds like funny to say it, but it's like, I think that the only reason that I could even get still in that moment when most people would panic, like I said, like I had this vision when I know a lot of the firemen, like I know a couple of the people that responded to that call because my brother worked. And when I got out, I was like, okay, I didn't think about this till after, but the typical wife gets out and is like, get in the ambulance. What are you doing? Why are you calling me? You know, like, and I just got out and I took the dog, told him to get in the car. And they were like, that was holding you up at that point. He said, he turned, like, he got you in the car. And he's like, dude, this guy's a special breed. And I was like, yes, he is. And he gave me this look and I knew what he was thinking. He was like, clearly you are too, because most people would probably not respond to what is happening right now the way you are doing it. And I thought about it. I was like, you know what? I was like, it's because I have tools, just like all of us have tools. And I've been really working on this hard to regulate my nervous system. And as a chiropractor, like that's what you're physically doing for people, right? You're helping regulate their central nervous system by removing interference. And that's the same thing that could apply to your marriage by you listening this today is like, what areas of your marriage do you have?
What areas of your marriage are subluxated?
Are subluxated, meaning where do you have nerve impingement, interference, injury that needs to be healed? And it starts on like in most relationships, I find it starts on emotional level.
Or where do you need to go have more fun?
Yes. And here we're talking how, regulating your nervous system is a key component to both things, dealing with chaos and with calm, and then also enjoying and receiving pleasure and enjoying having fun together. And there's going to be moments of both in a relationship. Hopefully you have maybe more than one than the other. But reality is that just starting to really, that's where I think we should wrap, is just like from this episode is really asking yourself, like, what are some areas of my relationship that I have some interference in? And also reflecting on what are the ones that you're really grateful for and asking yourself, and then like having that as an honest conversation with your spouse and coming to the table with some solutions of like, hey, I really need to have some quiet time, or we need to get some professional help, or, like we need to have more fun, fun to do. Maybe it's not Love Cloud, but, come up with something that's fun for you.
Can we do that again?
We have no affiliation to Love Cloud. But we should. It might be my next business. I might go back into being a pilot, and we might be flying out of Beverly Airport and buying a plane for this business.
All right. If that strikes a chord with you and you would do that, send us a message.
Let us know, and you can be our first test customer.
All right. We'll see you guys next week. No, 2 weeks, right?
2 weeks.
We'll see you guys in 2 weeks.
And we hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, share it. And please remember to rate, review, and subscribe.
Yeah, we say that every time, but for real, please do it.
Yeah, we really need reviews, not just feedback.
See you guys.